Hey guys, it's Natalie. Welcome back to my channel, Living the Oil Life. I hope everyone has had an amazing week. It is Did You Know Friday, and today we're talking about our sense of smell. Now, did you know that our sense of smell is technically called olfaction? And I have been pronouncing it wrong forever because I want to pronounce it olefaction or olfactory. And there's no I in it. It's O-L-F-A-C-T-I-O-N, olfaction. So I thought that was interesting that I've been pronouncing it wrong all this time. And did you know that scientists had originally thought that we could distinguish about 10,000 different smells, but recent research has shown that we can actually distinguish between 1 trillion different smells, which I thought that was pretty cool. And did you know that our scent cells or our receptors are actually renewed every 30 to 60 days? Now, did you know that we can actually smell fear or disgust? And they have actually studied the sweat of men who have been watching scary movies or emotionally intense movies, things like that. And they have actually measured their sweat. And then somehow they've studied women and the reactions to those women and their faces. I'm not quite sure how that worked, but by the reaction of the women, they could tell if it was fear that they were smelling from the men, which I think is a cool study, but I don't think I would want to be one of the women to smell the sweat of men. And speaking of the sweat of men, did you know that everybody, just like our fingerprints, we each have a different scent? I had no idea, except for identical twins. They do not, which I think is pretty cool because they said that dogs, we know, can smell fear or sense fear, and I guess they can sense it because of the sweat off the men, but they've done studies where dogs can actually tell the difference between non-identical twins, but they can't tell the difference between identical twins. So identical twins have the same scent, which I had no clue about that. And they think that it comes from the same gene that determines our tissue type. Now, did you know that women have a better sense of smell than men? And that is because our orbital prefrontal region is more developed, or in other words, I say we have bigger brains, but we have a stronger sense of smell. But did you also know that our sense of smell is the only sense where we have an emotional reaction first, and then we identify the scent shortly afterwards, or we think about it then. So we smell something first, we have an emotional reaction, and then we think about it. Touching, hearing, and seeing, we think about it first and then react to it, which I think is really cool. But that's why 75 to 80% of the emotions that we feel are triggered by smell. And a survey said that 85% of people that were surveyed by smelling crayons actually got immediately taken back to their childhood, which I think is really interesting. And we've done an experiment with joy. If you take joy oil, which I can't find mine right now, but if you take joy oil and you ask somebody to smell it, ask them what is the first thing that comes to their mind. And if they smell it and it's a good reaction, it's a good memory that they're remembering. And so when I first did it, I immediately thought of my grandmother. It reminded me of my grandmother. And so we didn't know why we were doing it. They just said, smell it and then think of the first thing that comes to your mind. So we did that, and it reminded me of my grandmother. And they said, if it's a happy smell, then it was a happy experience. And my grandmother was actually my favorite place to be when I was little, was at her house. And then the interesting thing is I took it to my daughter and asked her the same thing. She wasn't with me. And I said, here, smell this and tell me what you think. And I said, tell me the first thing that you think of. And she smelled it and she said, it smells like my mom, my grandmother. So I thought that was really cool. So that's a neat experiment that you can do when you're teaching a class or something like that. And so the sense of smell may be one of our most important sensory organs because research has shown that odors, the things that we smell, can actually affect us physically and emotionally. They can accelerate puberty, They can help to attract our mates. They can affect our hormone responses, and they can influence moods, and they can also influence our menstrual cycles, which I thought was interesting, and even our sexual orientation. So that's why I wanted to talk about the sense of smell really quickly, because we need to be careful what we're smelling. We need to be careful what we're using in our homes that cause odors or smells, because it can be affecting us physically or emotionally, especially because it's fall and everybody's starting to get the fall decorations out. If you're already, you may even have your Christmas decorations out by now, but the fall candles are coming out, the new fall scents are coming out, and they say, well, it's just air freshener or it's just a scented candle, and that's great and that's true. But if you have a scented candle, you have an air freshener full of toxins, you have body care products that are not natural or have a lot of chemicals in them, the shampoos, your toothpaste, your cleaning products, you add all of those up together and it will really can disrupt your endocrine system and your emotions and affect your breathing, your respiratory system, and all of that. So we have to be really, really careful. And speaking of products, I wanted to just talk to you really quickly about fragrances. Now, did you know that companies are not required by law to list the ingredients when it says fragrance? So if you're at home, grab a couple of products and see if it says fragrance on it, somewhere in the small print, on your shampoos, on your conditioners, in cleaning products, even it says fragrance. And did you know that there are over 50,000 different chemicals used to make all of these different fragrances, and one fragrance can have as many as 600 different ingredients. The typical one has about 100, they said, but 100 to 600 chemicals in them that you're smelling, you're spraying in your home, you're smelling it, so it's going in your nose, it's going in your olfactory system, and it's going into your respiratory system, and you're breathing that and it's affecting your body. And so they say that these studies have shown that a lot of the chemicals in fragrances have been linked to a variety of health concerns, including allergies, skin reactions, endocrine disruption, and possible birth defects. So that is huge. And they said that fragrance is considered to be among the top 5 known allergens. So just be really careful with the products, your air fresheners, the plug-ins, the gels, your candles. Make sure your candles, the scents that are in your candles are pure and natural, that the lead is not wick, that the wick is not lead, that it's lead-free. And the best candles to use are the 100% beeswax. They're really great to use. But again, be careful what is in the beeswax, what scent they use. So, of course, you can also use Young Living essential oils. And I use Joy as a perfume instead of, I haven't worn perfume in I don't know how long, but I use Joy as a perfume. I wear my Valor as a perfume. I wear Stress Away. I use my oils now as a perfume. And I think I've actually gotten more compliments on using my oils than I ever did when I was wearing perfume, which I think is kind of cool. And then instead of using the air fresheners, now I know a lot of, we don't have apple oil or vanilla oil or anything like that. So go ahead, and I remember my grandmother used to take apple peels and orange peels and clove and cinnamon and simmer them on the stove. And I used to love that smell when I walked into her house. So you can do that. Just be careful of the scents that you use. And so, of course, you can diffuse your oils in the house. Now, it may not have that typical fall pumpkin smell, but it will be so much better for you. I would rather forego the fall scent and know that my family is not getting those toxic products, and they're actually getting wellness supporting products in them than to buy the toxic ones. That's just my personal opinion. But you can diffuse things like citronella, eucalyptus radiata, juniper is great to diffuse, Valor is great to diffuse, Believe, Energy, what else? Tea tree. Idaho balsam fir, joy, of course, lavender would be great. And so you can diffuse those. You can drop them into your wash instead of using the fabric softener, which is also can be toxic to you, not just because of the smell, but getting on your skin and also your dryer sheets. So that is a really great way to add and kind of wean out those toxic products. So that is my Did You Know Friday. It was all about smells. I hope you guys learned a little bit of something today. If you did, please give this video a thumbs up and let me know, are you going to get rid of some of those toxic products that you may have bought for fall and are going to switch over to more natural ones like our Young Living products? And let me know what your diffuser combos are. I would love to know that also. So that's it for today. I hope everybody has an amazing weekend. I will see you Monday for Must Have Monday. And as always, keep living the oil life, guys, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.